All right, in this series of Shoot Their Qualification course, I'm going to be running the ASRB, which stands for Alabama Security Regulatory Board course of fire. This is the course of fire that private contract security officers who are licensed through the state of Alabama to be armed have to qualify on. Now, keep in mind, with this course and all the other courses of fire that you're going to see in this series are considered minimum standard courses of fire. So just because this is the standard that the Alabama Security Regulatory Board sets for armed security officers in the state, it doesn't mean that companies can't exceed this in their own internal standards. So rather than jump through a bunch of company hoops and try to figure out what each individual contractor is running, we're just going to evaluate the state standard. Maybe in the future I'll go back and pull specific companies, but they probably don't want their course of fire out there anyway. If they are in fact doing something different than the state standard. So in this course of fire that you're going to see me run, it's going to be ran on the FBIQ target. That's what the state says to run this target on. It's all two-hand, full light, standing, unsupported. There's no barricades, there's no single hand shooting, there's no low light shooting in this course of fire. So the FBIQ is this big. I mean, I don't have a measuring tape out here, I'm not going to measure it, but you get the idea. The FBI Qualification course of fire. The way the ASRB runs this course of fire, if you nick the target, it's in. Okay, so it's an in-out pass-fail course. It's a 30-round course of fire. It has to touch this white bottle shape to be considered in, and a passing score is 24 out of 30. The way the course of fire runs is you shoot a total of 12 rounds at 3 yards. The first 3 facings of those 12 rounds, you're going to be shooting 3 rounds in 5 seconds. The last facing is 3 rounds in 4 seconds, so it's just tightening up the time constraint a little bit. Then you run to 7 yards, and you're going to do 3 facings of 4 rounds in 6 seconds, I believe. And then it runs out to the 15-yard line, and the first of 3 facings is 2 rounds in 3 seconds. And the very last facing of the course of fire, which is really, in my opinion, the only difficult facing of the entire course of fire, is 2 rounds in 2 seconds. So that's a pretty quick clip from the holster on the target at 15 yards, but it's still a pretty wide target, a lot of forgiveness in there. So that's the Alabama Security Regulatory Board course of fire. I want to do a lot of state law enforcement courses of fire in this series, and I also want to do some of these contracting courses of fire. So expect some other states to pop up, but go ahead and roll onto the range now and let you see the course run.
Shooting 3 rounds at 3 yards in 5 seconds. Shooter ready. Draw. 1, 4, 5. Shooting 3 rounds in 5 seconds. Shooter ready. Draw. 1, 4, 5. Shooting 3 rounds in 5 seconds. Shooter ready. Draw. 1, 4, 5. Shooting 3 rounds in 4 seconds. Shooter ready. Draw. 1, 3, 4.
All right, I'm going to load 12 more rounds and run it to 7.
Shooting 4 rounds at 7 yards in 6 seconds. Shooter ready. Draw. 1, 5, 6. Shooting 4 rounds in 6 seconds. Shooter ready. Draw. 1, 4, 5, 6. Shooting 4 rounds, 6 seconds. Shooter ready. Draw. 1, 5, 6.
All right, got 6 rounds. $15 yards.
Shooting 2 rounds at 15 yards and 3 seconds. Shooter ready. Draw. 1, 2, 3. Shooting 2 rounds in 3 seconds. Shooter ready. Draw. 1, 3. Shooting 2 rounds in 2 seconds. Shooter ready. Draw. 1.
All right, I'll bring it back. I think that was one of the first 15-yard shots, rushing it a little bit, probably letting the clock get in my head, but pretty much all high center mass where we want them. 30-round course of fire, Alabama Security Regulatory Board. Okay, pretty successful in the range, qualified 30 out of 30, so perfect score on that, which should be expected of somebody with a modicum of skill on a pass-fail in-out target or course of fire like this. So everything high center mass. On the 15-yard line, probably let the clock get in my head a little bit, pulled one a little high, didn't let the dot settle down where I really wanted it to be. I'm not really sure if it was the first or second round. I kind of feel like it was the first round of the two, but everything well within the bottle shape there and a good palm size group there with the one flyer. So it is what it is. Appreciate you tuning in and stick around. This should be a pretty interesting series. I got the idea to do this series from watching guys that like to do various military and law enforcement qualifications for physical fitness. And since I don't want to run around and do all that kind of stuff, I figured I'd bring that same methodology to the firearms portion of this. So stick around. It should be a pretty interesting endeavor. I find it very unlikely that I'm going to find a course of fire that I'm not going to qualify on. So my standard I'm going to try to hold myself to is shooting a perfect score on all these various courses of fire. And I'm going to be completely transparent with it. If I miss, I miss. You know, it's okay. We all miss sometimes. So you'll see whatever I run. So there's the ASRB course of fire. Stick around. Like, comment, subscribe as always.